Welcome back, my story-loving friends, to Season 2 of For Love of Memoir. Our guest today is Maggie Doyne, author of Between the Mountain and the Sky. Maggie was just 18 years old when a chance encounter in Nepal changed the direction of her life. What began as a brief visit turned into a long-term commitment to the children and the community she met there, eventually leading her to co-found an organization focused on education and care for girls who had been displaced by poverty and conflict. Between the Mountain and the Sky is Maggie's reflection on that life, the responsibility that comes with choosing to stay, the relationships that shaped her, and the devastating loss that would later alter everything she thought she understood about purpose, love, and service. In our conversation, Maggie talks about living inside that story for years before writing it, and about the challenge of putting language to experiences that are deeply personal and deeply shared. Let's welcome Maggie Doyne. For Love of Memoir is a place for people who have a passion for human stories. The ones we tell, the ones we carry, and the ones we're still trying to understand. Here, we talk with writers about their life-changing experiences and what it takes to bring those stories onto the page and into the world. Whether you simply love a good story or aspire to write your own, you're in the right place.
Hi, Maggie.
Hi, Erin.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having
I'm so happy to have you. I've been looking forward to this conversation for quite some time. We are here to talk about your memoir, Between the Mountain and the Sky. This is one of the most remarkable stories I have ever read in my entire life. So I cannot wait to share this because I think everybody should buy that book. I think they could change humanity. I really do. I think you're doing really, really big things out there in Nepal. So, for anybody who's not familiar with your book or with your story, maybe you could just kick it off by kind of giving us a summary of what it's about and maybe why you chose memoir. I realized you recently just released a documentary as well, right?
Yeah. Oh
Which
my
I
gosh.
haven't seen yet, but
Oh, I can't wait. Oh, I'll send you the link.
I hear great things. I have the link. I just have not managed to find the time to go and watch it, but I will. It's on my list, I promise.
And totally different from the memoir. So the story Between the Mountain and the Sky it's very coming of age. It spans about 20 years in time. I am 39 now, just about 39, and I unexpectedly took a gap year at the age of 18 and landed in Nepal. And to start out, just to paint the picture, I was a suburban girl. I grew up on a cul-de-sac in northern New Jersey. I was supposed to go to college, sign up for a gap year, and it's kind of the story and journey of what unfolds uh, in many unexpected ways, but jumps into becoming a mother very young, transcends culture and time and space with the development sector, what we do at the intersections of extreme poverty and what we do when our heart breaks, and how we find purpose and meaning in a world that feels like we're struggling. It's really personal, really reflective. It was something I wanted to hand down to my own children. I'd kept journals and diaries for many, many years as a way to, I don't know, just mark time and remember the little things and process big questions. And it's kind of an accumulation of all of that writing, all of those journals, some love letters that I've written to my children over the years. And we chose memoir because I don't know, I wanted it to feel real and raw, as if it could be you, it could be me, it could be any of us. And I wanted it to feel like a call to action for this time we're in, where we don't know how to move from the paralysis into action. And I just wanted to be a voice of authenticity and vulnerability and truth telling because it's such a unique experience and such a unique story, and be able to do it in my own voice, in my own way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
most definitely. I listened to it on Audible and I absolutely loved it too. Of course, I always say there's something about hearing somebody read their own story in their own voice that I think is incredibly powerful, but it's just an absolutely beautiful story all the way around. So take us back to that gap year. Can you kind of give us a little bit, because as I understand it, that wasn't the what was supposed to be the plan for you, even to begin with, right? So kind of take us back to that gap year and then tell us about when you were in Nepal. What was it that moved you, that made you decide to buy land with your babysitting money?
Yeah, so when you're 17 and 18, in a community or circle of like Northern Jersey, the question is very much like, how are you going to be successful? What college are you going to get into? Where are you applying to colleges? It was a very one track kind of expectation of what life was supposed to be. And the gap year just came from this place of questioning of like, I don't know who I am. I don't know what my purpose is. I've never really left New Jersey. I don't know where I want to go to college or what I want to study. And I'm about to spend all of this time and many years and all of my, take out loans to do this thing. And I don't know what I want to do. And initially it was the gap year was about just like finding my place in the world, or hoping that by leaving the world I'd grown up in, that it would answer some of life's big questions, or at least, I don't know, take the year and the time to just self-reflect and read and deal with the burnout that I was facing. I know it sounds crazy that a high schooler could be burnt out, but I just lost that like flair and passion and spark for learning and purpose and meaning in life. So I signed up for a gap year. The first semester is like Fiji, Australia, New Zealand. I'm surfing and scuba diving and living on a Buddhist monastery and living with an indigenous group of people, working on stream restoration. I mean, all the things, outdoor survival. It was adventure. It was a year on. It was just, what is learning like outside of the four walls of the classroom and the traditional space, and what makes me come alive. Like, again, because I had kind of lost that in the pressure cooker of college. Fast forward second semester, I end up in northeastern India. Again, was not supposed to happen, wasn't supposed to be there. I went because wouldn't it be cool to go see India? And I landed in a place called Ramana's Garden, which was a center for children and families and refugees fleeing civil war in Nepal. That's really where the story starts. I go to Nepal with my friend Sunita, and I see for the first time firsthand like what it means to be a migrant, a refugee, a child living in poverty, a little girl breaking rocks by the side of the river. And there was something about those moments that led me to kind of questioning, what was my place in this? And how do I take the heartbreak and transform it into some kind of change or action? And where do I go from here? That's really the first big question of the story and my life. And everything unfolds from that place.
Yeah. So you literally took your babysitting money that you had saved while you were still in high school to purchase land, to give us a little bit, kind of give us a little bit of context of exactly what it is your
Okay.
goals
Okay.
were at that point.
So I'm stumbling across riverbed, and there's dozens and dozens of children and little girls breaking rocks to survive. And at first, the 18-year-old, 19-year-old in me is like, well, let's just put them all into school. Um, Child laborers, child exploitation, the implications of extreme child poverty are so intense. And every child facing their dream is education, and education is the great breaker of cycles of poverty. It's the greatest equalizer. So I thought, okay, let's just put kids into school. Well, soon into that journey, we realized going to school is up here. But if you can't survive to the age of 5, if you've lost family, if you don't have a safe place to live, if you're experiencing homelessness and really at risk for vulnerability, you need a home. So the initial dream was to re-envision what orphanages could be, because I hated orphanages. They were these awful places. And just for everybody listening, think about the word orphanage. They're dark, dismal, children are forgotten, abandoned. It's not a place you'd want your child to be raised in. It's not a place that you'd want to grow up in. And so as a young person, I was like, all right, what if we could reimagine, re-envision? My co-founder is Taupe, and he is Nepali, and he was orphaned very young. So we were like, let's create the kind of home we'd want to grow up in as a model for and standard for care. And so the first step in that was having to call my parents and ask them to wire me my babysitting money, because there was a piece of land for sale for $5,000, and I had saved up $5,000 from countless babysitting gigs, lemonade sales, all of the things. And that was my college money that I had saved. And that became the little seed planted on that dirt patch for Kopila Valley Children's Home today, and becoming a mother. And then the story goes on and on.
What did your family think when they thought you were coming back to go to school and you called and said, "Can you drain my savings and wire me 5 grand?"
Yeah, I mean, it was a very difficult conversation. It's funny because I talk to young people today and they're like, my parents would have never been down with that. And I think it's important to note, like, my parents were very special and listened and asked good questions. And, you know, against all odds and with lots of uncertainty, um, I was standing in this little rickety phone booth on the side of the road, and yeah, they sent the wire transfer with my babysitting money after all the hard questions and being like, okay, it's your money, we'll send it. And my mom often says, like, when we won CNN Heroes, we were on a billboard in Times Square, and we got to do CNN and all of that media. And she's like, now everybody's asking how I raised such a wonderful daughter and what we did to raise you. But if anything had happened to you, I would have been on CNN as being like the worst mother of the year that let their daughter do this thing. So
That's a fair point. She's right. That's probably exactly how it would have gone down. But it didn't. You were there for a reason, right? Everything happens for a reason. So, what were the first few months like, embarking on such a big task of building the home in a place where you didn't even completely speak the language yet?
um, a lot of learning, a lot of scrappy hustle.
Mm,
It was a combination of being so young that I had that optimism and energy and sparked, and the outrage to say, like, I want to change this thing. I want to walk across this riverbed and not see a single child breaking rocks. I want to reimagine what orphan care can be for the world, and I'm going to do it in our own way. To like the humble, just like, I don't know how to do this. I'm not equipped to do this.
sure.
And I wanted to learn, I wanted to read, I wanted to speak the language, I wanted to build a team of locals. I understood from falling in love with the culture and the people and just everything about Nepal. And many people who go to Nepal talk about this. It's just a wonderful place. And I understood innately that I, as a girl from suburban New Jersey, didn't have the solutions to solving the poverty crisis
Mm,
or recovering from civil war, but the people did. The local community did. They knew how to solve these problems. They knew what their dreams were. They knew what they wanted. They knew. Tope, my co-founder, knew what it was like to grow up as an orphan, having to work as a child porter at the age of 9, having to drop out of school, not having enough food to eat, being freezing cold in the winter. And so it was the combination of that tenacity and unknowing. When you don't
mm.
know something, you just go, you seek to know it. And that became my undergraduate degree. It was like reading every book I could on poverty, reading every book I could on the crisis that we were in worldwide, like understanding the language, the space, understanding the local people.
Culture,
And,
I'm sure, was
and
huge too.
yeah, yeah. And we had nothing. Like we had, and when I say nothing, I mean that Taupe's investment, we had nothing left except for like elbow grease and grit and sheer determination. So there was something in the nothing is the best way I can describe it, of just like where are we going to go from here and how are we going to learn and what's our next step. It's kind of like planting a seed. You are like, all right, how are we going to make this thing grow and where are we going to take it next? And there was real magic in that process.
Sure, I can imagine. You named it Kopila Valley. Can you tell us why? Like what prompted that name?
Tope came up with the name and the community. A Kopila in the Nepali language is a bud.
Mm,
And we were really thinking about a child. And if you want, a child's like a bud, right? Or a seed, or like, if you really want to see the world thriving and blooming and being all that it can be, like, it really comes down to just children and giving them what they need so that they can bloom.
mhm.
And when given healthy soil, nutrition, love, safety, protection, when children are valued, treasured, when we all agree that we can live on a planet where children are valued and protected, we believe and know to be true that our human family will be better. And it was just that idea of a copla and making sure that we could help the children who needed it the most bloom, and then watch our community bloom, and then watch our region bloom. And it's been just that. And our kids, our students, our children to this day, they love calling themselves the copulas. And we wanted that. We wanted them to call themselves like, we're blooming. And really, really relates to nature. Copila's Valley School is it's the greenest school on earth. And it's surrounded by greenery. And there was one measly little tree on the property that we built. And we just hoped that we would bloom there. And we did.
What a beautiful story. So, how did the surrounding community respond to Kopila Valley?
This is something that I definitely really dug into in the book, because like one of the lines in the book is, "This is my home, but I'm also a guest here."
Mhm.
And the initial kind of tension for me as a young person and in the story is that first I was warmly embraced as a daughter, as a sister, as a, someone that was protected. And then there was like this push of trying to change too much. Like as soon as it was perceived that like we were stepping out of our place too much, there were certainly moments of tension and threat. Like, you know, this it's okay to educate girls and make sure they have opportunity to go to school, but then you start pushing back on like early marriage or issues surrounding child putty or what is perceived as the culture. And that was definitely the biggest learning curve of just like, what is my fight to fight? How do I leverage my own privilege, my own beliefs, my own morality of what is right and what is wrong,
Right.
while also realizing I am a guest and I love this culture and the beauty of this place. And I've been so humbly, warmly welcomed. And that was the line. And it was a dance and it was a gray space that needed to be figured out and took time and took building of trust and took just like building understanding. And there are bad guys in the story. There are,
Yep.
this is a region with human trafficking. This is a region of early marriage. This is a region where girls who are menstruating die in menstrual huts because they're forced to sleep in sheds. And at first, I just didn't know how to walk that line. And we really talk about that and go into that in the book.
Mhm. I can imagine that was quite a bit of a balance for you.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Your subtitle promises love, loss, healing, and hope. What moments really stand out to you at capturing each of those?
Um, so it is hopeful, but it is also heartbreaking. Um, in the book, you know, you just watch me fall on my face and make so many mistakes and have more questions than answers. And because um on the journey, like especially in the early years, we were so championed in the press. It was like these really quick blips and highlights of like, we're on the back of the Dorito bag, CNN hero, glamour woman of the year, cover of the New York Times. I really felt an obligation and a sort of like pressure to tell the true story and lift the veil of like these romantic do-gooder vibes, or like that I was kind of being like, everyone can move 8,000 miles. I just felt this duty and immense responsibility to tell the story right and to tell the story truthfully and to yeah, lift that veil of like perfectionism or the notion or the fairy tale that we got everything right. And so the memoir definitely follows this journey of ups and downs. And there's, I promise you, failure, loss. I mean, we're working in some of the most difficult conditions. This is a region that is ridden with incredible poverty, lots of loss, and an overwhelming amount of need. It's the most food deficit region of the world, incredibly isolated, incredibly invested in, often hit with natural disasters. So the topic of death comes up. I lose my child in the book, and there are some really hard chapters to get through. And there's this woman, young woman, now I'm 38, but you know, she's 19 and then 20, 22, and she's going through those hard lessons of that, you know, being earnest is not always enough. Like trying as hard as you can is not always enough. Working as hard, you know, you just, there are hard things that happen. And that was part of that hope to tell that side of the story that I hadn't gotten a chance to tell, and a hope that I could just leave the sector and you know, the next generation on with like just the insider view of how this has been and what my learnings were and where my pitfalls were, and just all of that honesty and truth telling and vulnerability that I think is needed, especially in the charity world, because honestly, you just hear all the good stuff.
Sure.
You know, and I wanted to tell the other parts of it really truthfully. And I wanted something that I could pass on to my children so that they would know they'd go through hard things and that they were going to get through it and be okay. And I just wanted to be as honest as I could through that medium. So yeah, it's hopeful. It is healing. It's a love story on so many different levels. It is such a love story. I mean, we laugh, we cry, we fall, we rise, we break, and then we come together again because that's what life is.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have at this point, how many kids have gone through your school?
Oh,
Or
hundreds, hundreds, hundreds. So Blink Now is our organization. And we realized in the journey that, okay, what if we could prevent kids from becoming orphans in the first place? What do kids need? They need quality education. We built a school. They need health services and nutrition. We create a health clinic. They need soccer. We create the first girls soccer team, an after school program. We have a women's center. So you kind of learn about this integrative web of uplifting a community and what a community needs so that the children are at the center and can thrive and grow. So there's the school where we're like, kids just need an education. And then there's the home program. And then, so those are two separate programs. We start to launch all of these different programs that have now, I mean, we've been through migrant crises, earthquakes, landslides, floods. So the organization over the years has been able to serve thousands of children at the school. It's a full service community school where children come in. You have to be an orphan to get into the school. We have a family development program that keeps kids with families. And yeah, we've got nearly 300 alumni who have come through the school. They're now social workers, doctors, teachers, entrepreneurs, computer scientists, filmmakers, journalists, I mean, everything in between. You get to watch that full life cycle. And then the home has been two generations. The first generation are now in their 20s and navigating adulthood. They're kind of the age of me when this whole thing started. So I've gotten to become a mom who does college drop off and very full circle. And that's generation one.
Mm.
And that's about 46 kids. And generation two is another 50. And our youngest are a few months old, lots of toddlers and everything in between at the home, in the home program. There's a big sisters home, which supports adolescent girls and is a short-term intervention. And there's so many programs that we get to dive into a little bit in the book, and in the work of Blink Now.
And you just keep building and building and building it out. How has raising so many kids? I mean, it sounds like you came from a super supportive family. Honestly, it's really endearing how supportive your parents and obviously I would assume your sisters were of this process for you. And you're blessed in that way for sure. But how has raising so many children changed your view of family? Changed your idea of what family means?
Right away, I realized that there's a need on our planet to redefine what family is, that it transcends biology, that all children are our children. When you become a mother, there's just so much love. There is this outpouring of just like, I cannot imagine my life without this child. And you kind of go through that over and over and over again. And I fall in love with these amazing kids. They're just incredible. And we become a family. And then you realize the mass scale of children who are suffering. And it makes you realize that we all need to step up for children everywhere. And I think all adoptive moms will talk about that. I think if you're a biological mom, you can relate as
Mhm,
well.
mhm,
I've gotten to be both, which is such a gift. But yeah, I think it's about family. It's about how to family in this time that we're in. Um, Falling into motherhood unexpectedly at such a young age, and just like I'm the only person I knew with that as my journey. So having people I could relate to, and but overall, I think ultimately it's about redefining how much we're capable of loving,
mhm.
and how all of us can be called to really think about who we care about and why and how. And it does transcend geography, and it does transcend so many things that you'd think, oh, I only love my family. Well, actually,
Right.
we're capable of so much love beyond that. And in fact, we need to redefine family and who and what we care about in order to build a better planet.
Yeah, no, you're completely right. And I think that in the United States, are we have a greater opportunity to remain ignorant
Hmm.
of what's happening in other places of the world.
Hmm.
So I think it's incredibly important, especially in privileged societies, first world societies, for because I think a lot of people don't even know, like they don't even know that this stuff continues still to this day in other countries.
Yeah, I do believe that humanity is kind and loving and benevolent for the most part.
I agree.
And yet, like, even in America, our foster care system is struggling. And it's like these tucked away back corners that we don't get to look inside. And it's a crisis. And these cycles will continue to perpetuate. And we're talking cycles of violence, cycles of poverty, cycles of suffering, until and unless we can find solutions for children. Because I'm the woman I am because of my upbringing. You're the woman who you are because of our upbringing, because of knowing what love feels like. So every child needs to be loved. Every child needs to be safe. Every child needs to have a chance at opportunity and education and should live and thrive. And we just haven't been able to achieve that yet since the beginning of our humanity. And I believe that we can. And so I really wanted to talk about it. And when in proximity to suffering, when most of us see a child that's cold or needs a meal, all of us would do something. I really
Right.
believe that.
Right. I agree.
Yeah, sometimes when you're is isolated in circles of, say, privilege, and it's not in front of your face, it is easy to forget. And this book is a reminder, but there's lots of reminders out there that this is a real threat. Not being able to care for children is a threat to all of us. And we're only as strong as our weakest, our most vulnerable, and in my opinion, like our most sacred thing there is on this planet, which is children. It's like the one thing we should all be able to agree on. And I'll be singing that and talking about that until the cows come home. Like I'll be doing this one until I'm old and gray and until we achieve zero poverty and until we're able to reduce these statistics on Earth, which by the way, we are because of the work of generosity and nonprofits and development and amazing people and change makers and mothers and women and activists around the world. We have had some major wins in our lifetime. So I
Yes.
believe we can do it.
Moving the
Mhm.
needle. Yep. Yep. I believe we can do it too. Did you by chance pick a piece to read for us? I would love to hear you
I,
read a
I,
piece of your book.
I did. um, so everyone's always curious about like what the moment was. Um, and this is the moment where I choose to move to Nepal. The first time I see her, she's a streak of orange, a curl of tangerine skin sitting in the dirt. Rising from the belly of the riverbed, she dusts off the bright, puffy sleeves of what in a previous life must have been a party dress and gets to work. She can't be older than 5, I guess, standing at the lip of the bank. I watch her weave between slabs of plastic and cinder blocks and scoop up a stone the size of a soccer ball, waddling it back to her pile of gravel and grunting like a quarryman. She sits cross-legged and whacks the rock over and over, brows scrunched so close that they meet. No matter where I go, I always seem to end up in places like this one: alleyways, outskirts, trash heaps, the back pockets of a place where less desirable things and people get stuffed away. I've been traveling all over the South Pacific and living in India on my gap year, but still a mix of sadness, fear, and shame hits me under my tongue every time I see these hidden, tucked away places. Little kids go to work in some places. They're porters, laborers on construction sites, domestics, agricultural workers. Watching them work is jarring. Watching them work with a smile, even more so.
Mm.
The girl pulls herself up, shakes the pebble from her skirt, and sizes up a new hunk of shale. So I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but I see little Hema is her name. Uh, what am I supposed to do in this moment, in this life? What are we as a human family supposed to do and be? She drops her mallet, and I look at her as if she has the answers. She looks at me like she is the answer. Namaste, Didi, she shouts, frantically waving her leathery doll hand my way. A giant sun soaked smile practically explodes between her cheeks. Hello, big sister. My Nepali isn't great, but I know this phrase. Everyone is everyone's Didi here. I take a long look at her. She takes a long look at me. Namaste, I say back. The population of the universe dwindles to exactly 2. A teenager from New Jersey who spent her childhood bouncing on an enormous backyard trampoline and trying to get good grades, and a Dalit, an untouchable who has never seen a school or a toilet. Sifting shoeless through the trash and grinning like a cartoon, there she is, the world's most unspeakable failure and its unending promise, all tied up with a thin orange ribbon. The plates inside me begin to shift. In another life, she could be my sister. In another life, she could be me.
Wow, thank you for that. Beautiful, beautiful selection too.
Oh, thanks. I mean, that's kind of the opening. It's an opening. We open with sunrise, we end with satsang, and it's all framing a day in the life because that's a common question. And then, of course, the question of how did you end up there? And it's hard. It's hard to tell a story in like, 200 pages or in a 90-minute film. So yeah, there we have it.
Oh, absolutely beautiful. What does between the mountain and the sky mean to you now?
Hmm. Um, I think it's sort of meant to be ethereal. It's sort of meant to make you wonder. It's sort of meant to make you question, like between the mountain and the sky. It Nepal is the country of mountain and sky. Like everywhere you look, it's just
Mm,
mountain and sky. It's the Himalayas. And that line is read in the book in this sort of moment where I'm reflecting on like home and the life that was and the life that was becoming and what I do and that transition and that rite of passage of time and how things had changed. And it's just a wonder. It's just a metaphor for what life is. All of its unknowns, all of its twists and turns, all of its potential, um, and all of the all of the like what between the mountain and the sky. It's just this space of what do we do with our time here on this planet and what matters here between the mountain and the sky. And it marks that time in my life of this unbelievable story that I still can't believe this is my story. Some days when I'm telling it, I'm like, how did that happen? How did that happen?
very carefully, it sounds like brick by brick. What
Mhm.
have the children of Kopila Valley taught you?
They've taught me the power of presence. I mean, in this world of fear and chaos, I run very anxious. I'm always worried. I think we can all relate to this, trying to do 1,000 things and trying to squeeze every day. And being in a life surrounded by children, you'll just be lost in your thoughts or lost in the chaos. And all of a sudden, a child picks up a rock and they're like, look, it's the shape of a heart. Or look at the sky, look at the moon tonight. And they've taught me that. They've taught me wonder, presence, accepting what is. They've taught me play. They've taught me the power of music and dance. They've taught me resilience and overcoming anything. And they've taught me hope because you'll notice that when you look into the eyes of a child and you can't feel any other thing but hope and that they're worth fighting for and that they're worth giving up everything and anything for. And in turn, people always ask like, oh, that was such a sacrifice. This has not been a sacrifice at all. Our children have given me, I am the luckiest woman on planet Earth. I'm billions of people, and I feel like they've given me so many gifts and so much joy and so much laughter. And so that's their gift. I mean, and I just want that for every single child: a home, a safe place, the chance to play, the chance to wonder, the chance to stay safe and live and thrive and grow.
Hmm. It doesn't sound like it should be too much to ask for, right?
It's totally not.
Yeah.
It's not too much to ask for at all. And it's not, it's not like a controversy. It's
Right.
like, it's
Right.
just
It's
like,
something we all agree on. Yeah.
yeah, it's not political. It's
Hmm.
not um it's not objective. It's just like, oh yeah, we can all agree if we're holding a child that we're holding the universe and that is the most precious thing on earth. Life is the most precious thing and it's something we need to fight and hold on to and protect with everything in us.
Mm. Your story I mean, it's an absolutely beautiful story, but there's a lot of ups and downs. There's unimaginable loss and grief, the gut
Mm.
wrenching. Some of those pages were just incredibly difficult to read. Looking back, what were the things that were most difficult for you to put on the page?
Definitely dead plants and going through the loss that I experienced with Ravi.
Mm,
Um, and Jantara, I mean, there was so much loss.
mm,
At one point, Shannon and I, who's my incredible, amazing collaborator and partner and like sister on this project, we were just like, this is turning into too much of a spiral, of a death spiral, and there was so much hardship. But I think it was important to tell that story because we're all grieving, we're all going through loss, we're all going through pain, and we're all going to die.
mm,
And um, I think I wanted to evoke the sense that when the worst thing in the world happens, when you have to face the impossible, there's always light and there's always hope. And I think that message in this time that we're in is really important. It was important for my own healing.
mm,
It was important to talk through my greatest shame, my greatest failure, my greatest questioning of the life. Like it was the point and where I wanted to give up and quit, and yet I didn't, and there was light on the other side. And I think that's a story that a lot of people need right now. We
mhm,
go through things and we're like, it's hopeless, this is the end, I'm done, I can't take another thing. And yet there's always hope, there's always light, there's always the sun will always rise, a new bud will always bloom and pop up. And I really needed to tell that story as a mom for my children who are going to go through grief and go through hard things. And I really needed to tell that to this generation who are struggling with mental health and are feeling like the world is failing and feeling like it's all insurmountable and we need to give up. And I think I wanted to take everybody on the journey of my lowest, rawest, most horrific moment because I did rise again.
mm.
And I wanted to talk about grief because we're grieving as a humanity right now so that people could find the light.
Yeah. Yeah, I one of the million reasons why I'm just so in love with memoir. And you mentioned that you needed to work through it therapeutically by writing it and it was healing for you, but there's always somebody out there who reads it at just that right moment when they're going through, when they're suffering, the worst kind of grief, which in my opinion is losing a child. That's just not the way things are supposed to go. It's supposed to be the other way around. And so I think it's torturous grief for parents, and that it's healing for them. It's healing for them to know that in that moment that they're not the only person that has had that experience too.
Yeah, it was, I think you have to be honest. And those were the stories in the books that helped me when I was at my darkest hour. And so
Mhm.
to not share the darkest hours is to not tell the truth. And the truth, like that's the only way through.
Right,
I've
and it
learned
all goes together. That's how we grow. It's the ugly stuff
exactly
that we grow from.
like the only way to it is like through it. Like if you're scared of elevators, you have to ride the elevator.
Yeah.
If you don't want to write something because it's so shameful and so painful, that's probably the thing you need to write.
Hmm.
I learned that from my friend Cheryl Strayed, who wrote the book Wild. I was with her and she was like, Maggie, you need to write this thing. And through that, you're going to find the catharsis, it's going to help you. So just do it for you. And she was right. She was right. It's a tool for like building compassion and mercy and forgiveness, which is what we need to do to continue on and continue through and work our way through healing and keep showing up every day.
What did you learn about yourself writing your memoir?
um, so many things. So you think it's this like romantic thing that you do as rain is like pitter pattering on the roof and you're sipping
That's what all the
coffee.
pictures say.
Yeah, it's so romantic, and I learned that it's hard and gritty and like everything else that has been required in my life, like just grunt work and just about showing up, like butt in the chair and getting it out. I learned that journaling is not the same as like, I thought I'm a writer, I journal. No, no, no. Building a narrative work is totally different. At one point, the team, my incredible all woman, all mother team was like, Maggie, it's like you have a messy closet and you need somebody to come help you organize
Come organize it.
or you're building a house without an architectural plan, which would be very me to do. But so yeah, I learned that. I learned that it's okay to have questions.
Mm.
I didn't need to have all the answers.
Mm.
It's okay that everything's not tied up in a tidy, perfect little bow, and that it was okay to end with like, this is the stuff I'm still working on. To write a memoir before you're 33 is a really big deal because I
Huge.
can't claim I have everything figured out. Like, and even writing it, I was like, this story is still writing itself. And I just learned that writing is probably one of the most powerful tools. Like storytelling is so important. And
Mm.
it felt good to know that this will live beyond me and that it'll be something my children and all my great grandchildren and their children, it's just something that they'll have when they want to understand their identity and our family and where we came from and where we were at that time and space. So it's like, it's okay not to get it all right, but do your best and show up and meet yourself where you are and evolve and be better. And yeah, that's what it taught me. I'm really grateful for the opportunity, actually.
Amazing gift. It's an amazing gift to leave not just to your family, but to the planet, really, of hope. Can we talk about your publishing journey a little bit?
Oh my gosh, yes.
What did you decide on for publishing? What route did you take?
Um, so when I was like 23, uh, Nicholas Kristof, the Pulitzer Prize winning journalist, one of my favorite journalists of the New York Times, wrote this big piece on do-it-yourself foreign aid, and we were on the cover of the New York Times and New York Times Magazine. And through that experience, I met Jennifer Rudolph Walsh and Margaret Riley King. And that was just, again, happenstance. We met, total kismet, we're introduced. And so I got to know those incredible women
Mhm.
as a young, bright-eyed, and they were kind of like, oh, if you ever want to write a book, let us know. And Margaret and my agent, stayed in touch for a decade. And we were just friends and we followed each other, and there was never like sign on the dotted line, or it was never like that. But I always knew that if I did want to write a book, it would be with Margaret.
Yeah.
She loves books and she reps so many women who I respect and admire and have written some incredible work. And so we kind of grew up together, became mothers. And when I was ready, it was actually during COVID. I could finally write it. And we put a proposal together and we sent it out, and COVID happened. So it was really quiet, very, very quiet. And migrant crisis ensued, and we had to get 1 million people over the border. And I kind of put it on the back. I was like, oh, nobody wants it. It's okay.
Mhm.
Forget about it.
Just put
Nobody
all
wants.
that work in. No big deal.
Um, and then, Margaret called one day and she's like, Harper Horizon would like this book. We'd met with some publishers, and Harper Horizon it was, and it was all meant to be.
Wow.
I wrote it during COVID. I got introduced to Shannon, my editor Amanda, all really Margaret and the Harper Horizon team, Andrea, and we all did it together during COVID. Well, you know what was happening during COVID for moms, and especially in Nepal. And I was actually put into like a 2-week quarantine when I was reuniting with my husband Jeremy and our 2-year-old, and that was when a lot of it got done and
Uh,
kept going. Yeah.
I bet. Yeah, one of the few good things that came out of COVID was all of these memoirs. I think there's a
Yeah.
lot of people decided to take that path, and bless them for it because I'm blessed enough to be able to do this show because of it.
Yeah, and also like I think for some of us it was that thing I was waiting 10 years journaling, like writing little bits and pieces, and it was like if you can't do this now, I was with my in-laws on an island in like isolation in the woods. And it was like the world had stopped. And I was like, if you can't do this now, you're never gonna do this. So like now or never, baby. Like let's go.
Fair point.
And just finding the right team to kind of help you, especially in the hard parts, is really critical.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, thank goodness for editors.
Oh yeah.
They're heroes, in my opinion. Editors are heroes. What surprised you the most about sharing your story?
Mm. What surprised me the most was how healing it actually was. I felt as if 1,000 pounds were lifted off my chest. Um, I felt a sort of like metaphysical experience that I didn't have to carry that pain, that shame, the loneliness of all those years by myself because we were all carrying it together. Everybody who picked up the book, the young women who read the book, the elders who read the book, everybody in between, my own children. It was just this huge release. Um, and that's the power of story, right? I mean, I think there it is. It's just so powerful. It's there, it lives in the world, it's done. It wasn't this thing that was living in my head. It was there, it was on paper. It was something I could like, I wrote little love letters to each of my kiddos and passed it to them. And it was just like, there, that's that's powerful. So I feel that was it. That was like, whew, okay. And I'm ready for what's next. I'm ready for what the future holds. I'm ready. I'm not done yet. I was so young. I am so young that I knew I wasn't done yet, but just to have that time preserved in a time capsule, you'd be amazing at like amazed at how much you forget when you don't write it too.
Hmm.
So I feel like it's this like little treasure that I have to remember the details and every single moment and how fleeting life really is.
Yeah. What would you say to young 18-year-old Maggie if you could go back to her and talk to her standing on that riverbank?
Oh, girl, you have no idea what's ahead of you. I wouldn't tell her to turn around and go back to college, but I would just say, like, I got you. People, like, the most amazing people are going to step up and hold your hand on this journey, and you're going to experience more love than you could ever imagine. And when the darkness comes, the light will appear, and hold on because it's going to be a ride. It's going to be a ride. Yeah.
What do you hope people will take away from your book?
People often say, like, oh, I wish I could have done that, or I want to do something like that, or, um, oh, there's always going to be orphans in the world. Like, why even bother? Or, just things like that. And I just want people to see themselves in the story, realize that they're capable of so much more than they think they are, and that we can create the world we want to live in. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be hard. It's not going to come with rainbows and glitter and just sunshine, but it's possible. And I don't think you need to move 8,000 miles away or adopt a bunch of children or, go build a school necessarily. But I do hope that people go within and question, like, what can I do in my little nook and cranny? Like, what can I do in my corner of the world? How can I show up? What breaks my heart? What do I want to change? How can I bring love in? How can I find hope? And I just hope it's that. I hope it makes people ask those questions of themselves and realize that I'm pretty like I'm just normal like everybody else. That's what people usually say when they meet me. They're like, "You're kind of just normal." I'm like, yeah, Yeah, exactly. I hope they read it and they're like, oh, she's just normal.
A
Look at
normal person doing extraordinary things.
she
You're
just got
right.
B's and she wasn't a superstar and she fell and she failed. And I felt everybody like she's not a hero on a pedestal. She's just a person, perfectly imperfect. Again, like just it's and we're all capable of things. And our journeys are going to take us on all kinds of places. And how can we stay centered and truthful and use our time here
Mm.
and follow our hearts and create a better world.
Mm. I think that's it. You hit the nail on the head. I think it's so easy to get lost in everyday mundane life and just, making the ends meet and getting from one day to the next that a lot of times we don't sit back and think about what we can do consistently, regularly to improve the world that we live in rather than
Mm-hmm.
just kind of maintaining what we've got at best.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So tell us how we can help. Talk to us about your nonprofit. Where can we get a copy of the book? And I'll obviously put all of it in the notes, but
So you can get a copy of the book anywhere books are sold. I always believe in supporting independent bookstores if and when possible. Um, our work at Blink Now, please follow along, blinknow.org. I mean, there is so much to learn. There's so much that we didn't even get to dive into. If you want to see hope, if you want to see a vision for what the world can be, if you want to see the children that we serve and the programs and the community, it's really inspiring. And you can follow along there and get involved and become a Roots member, subscribe to the newsletter. It's pretty remarkable what our team and this organization has built. And this is now a documentary, Between the Mountain and the Sky. So you can go to betweenthemountain.com and check that out there. Very, very different version of the story, but a beautiful documentary made by my husband, which is a big reveal in the book. I do fall in love, and it's a beautiful rom-com love story.
of it. What's next for you?
What is next for us and me is continuing to build out Blink Now, continuing to serve our community, continuing to be a place where children who have no other options get a chance to thrive and grow and go to school and have a safe place to be. So continuing to run Blink Now, where I serve so gratefully and humbly as our CEO and co-founder with Taupe, and continue to model community development. We're so lucky to have built this model that works for poverty alleviation and child protection. And we've got hundreds and thousands of organizations and folks who just want to learn, and we can support and guide and help and continue to build a patchwork of good around the world. So I'll be with Blink Now, hopefully forever and ever, until I'm old and gray.
Well, it seems like you have built your life into it. So, kind of your baby labor of love. You are an absolute inspiration, Maggie. I continue to be in awe, and I have a feeling this is probably a book that I'll go back and read more than once because it's just so incredibly inspiring. You're doing incredibly important work. And for that, I can't thank you enough.
Thank you. Oh, it's so kind. Thank you.
And thanks so much for coming on to chat with me and talk about your story.
Always. Oh, I'm so grateful. No one ever wants to talk about this book.
Really?
You loved it.
I absolutely loved it.
A long time. I was like, I haven't talked about this book in forever. I'm so glad that you're reviving it. It's hard for people to find, I think. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of good books out there, and I'm happy you're championing it. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'm absolutely championing it. I'll make sure and put all the links in the show notes so that people can get a copy of it and follow you with Blink Now.
Yay for books. Yay.
Human stories. It's important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank
You
you
bet.
so much.
We'll be in touch in the future, I'm sure.
Yay. Yes, we will. All right. Thank you.
Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
That's it for today's episode of For Love of Memoir. Thanks for listening. If something in this conversation moved you, I'd be so grateful if you'd follow the show, leave a comment, or share it with someone you care about. Those small actions tell the algorithm that our content matters so we can reach more memoir lovers like you.